Hey guys, it's David from Horror Night Updaters, joined with me with my fellow team member Brian.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
So today we're going to be doing a short speculation video on what to expect this year. I think we've all had some pretty good ideas of what might be coming. So today we're just going to be discussing them. So let's jump right into it. We'll start kind of with Orlando, and then we'll move into Hollywood, and then kind of most of these speculations um, should be joint. So some of the IPs that we will mention might be joint IPs, but uh, we'll kind of work around that and discuss at the same time. So let's go, Brian. So Brian, what do you think?
Well, I think the big obvious one right off the bat. I mean, we can't really argue because it was like the basically brought in a whole new clientele of
Mm.
people to the event, and I really think that the big top pool tier is going to be another year of Stranger Things.
Yes, I agree with that. That's definitely on a lot of people's radars. And since we're getting season three this year, season two as a maze is pretty much an assured thing. And considering the merchandise sold really well last year, I mean, heck, I'm drinking out of a Stranger Things cup right now from the event. I agree with that. What do you think we might see, mate?
Well, I'm thinking that we might just do season two. I mean, I don't know if they're at the point yet where they'd want to do like a combination season house, kind of like what they did with The Walking Dead a couple years. I don't know if they're at that point yet. Because even when we had like Walking Dead and like American Horror Stories, at least in Orlando, well, okay, not American Horror Story. That's completely different. But at least with Walking Dead in the beginning, we kind of just did one season, and we kind of just mirrored. And then towards the end, when the people weren't really interested in it, then they would kind of like combine them together or make it like a best of maze. But I really think for this year, we'll just probably see season two, probably especially because if they're putting out season three, I mean, I know Netflix, puts all the episodes out at the exact same time, but even if they released a season three, they might want to give the people the decency of, maybe allowing them enough time to catch up on the series instead of just surprising them with like a season three, at the event, if maybe they're not caught up at that point. But I could definitely see a season two at the very least come into probably both events. I mean, this year, probably even multiple Horror Night events all over the place.
I agree. And again, going back to it, it was really popular, and I agree with what you've said, Brian. That we'll probably get a singular season, not like a mixture season like we've had for American Horror Story or Walking Dead in the past. I think they've learned that if they don't want to overextend themselves, they'll probably just keep doing a singular season. I believe season three releases in April. I mean, it may give them enough time if they do decide to do a mixture maze, but I don't see them possibly doing that. I do think with how popular the IP is, that they'll definitely have a bit more crowd control this year, considering last year was a big gripe with a lot of people
Oh yeah, definitely.
in both events, actually.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. In fact, I think the only one that didn't. I mean, I can't speak for sure, but I don't know if what was it? Is it Singapore had also had Stranger Things? I don't know. I don't know how their lines were, but I know at least in the states it was pretty bad.
Yeah, so I think they're probably going to be more prepared if they do decide to do Stranger Things. Though I'd say of all the IPs we're probably going to discuss here today, I think Stranger Things is pretty much a guarantee. Um, and I think from what I remember of the season, we'll probably see the miniature kind of like maybe models of the miniature Demogorgons, the kind of dog versions. Um, we'll probably see environmental wise, we'll probably see, uh, well, definitely we'll be in the upside down again. But also the decrepit pumpkin patch, I think, is too good of a location to not do at the event.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think Stranger Things is definitely a big one that's probably going to be coming back. What else, Brian?
Well, I can't really say too much for Hollywood on this aspect, but and to be fair, I personally believe that this is going to come back, and I'm going to say a part of me just says it because I want it to come back. But I really hope that we go in the tradition of Trick or Treat this year and bring the scare zone of Killer Clowns from Outer Space into a full-fledged house. I really think that there was enough demand and enough popularity behind it that they'd be crazy not to. You know, especially with the limited capacity of intellectual properties that like Universal has at the moment, because of all various different, different aspects that are going on in other companies. I think it's just very like they're kind of limited at this point. And since people did like it, why not bring it back? It'd be pretty straightforward. You could bring in the sets, the costumes are right there. Just elaborate a lot on what you did, kind of like with Trick or Treat. I thought they did a really good job of taking what was already built and constructed and then just amplifying it into an actual house. And so, like I said, I more than anything, I just want to see it. I actually said in my now lost review that if they brought it to the event this year, I would only just need to go through that house. I really wouldn't need any other houses. I would just get out of line and go back to the front of the line and then do it again and come back out, and then that would be my whole night. I mean, granted, I love the other mazes and I'll do them, but like honestly, if they want to win me over this year, that's all they got to do.
I think with I can't really say much to in Hollywood. I think we're probably past Trick or Treat. I don't see John really bringing it back unless there was more material to kind of work with. We have had repeat mazes in the past, but they always try to do something different. And unless John wants to kind of make up different environments, I don't see how the creative team in Hollywood can really bring it back. Though I'd say it's on the flip side of that, I'd say it's a high possibility we'll probably get Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's another big one, just because of how big the fan reaction. And we saw how the fan reaction was to the Scare Zone 2 years back. So it's a high possibility we'll probably get it back. Sorry, I mean last year.
Right.
I'm going 2 years ahead of me.
I was gonna say, like, wait, did we have it 2 years ago? I had to like rack my brain. I'm like, wait, did
they're secretly prepping for it? No, last year in 2018's event. I agree, Brian. I think it's definitely a high possibility of that one coming back. What do you think? I mean, this is what I think for Hollywood. We'll probably get Halloween based on the 2018 film, considering how popular.
Oh yeah.
I think they've had ample time to really iron out any issues with getting it legally into the event and acquiring it. I think Michael Myers has already shown how popular it was. Halloween 4 was definitely one of the big ones from last year. Lines, I can't speak for Orlando, but I know with Hollywood we got it up to about it was 80 plus hours. 80, yeah, it was like 80 minutes, and sometimes up to 120. So the wait time for that got ridiculous. What do you think, Brian?
I could really well. I could see Hollywood definitely making attempts to bring back Michael Myers for the 2018 film. I could definitely see, I mean, it could happen in Orlando. I'm not going to rule it out, but I think the fact that we just did like a Michael Myers maze recently, that maybe they'll want to look in a different direction as far as like trying other things. I mean, I'm not going to rule it out, like I said, but I really could definitely see Hollywood, wanting to do that and then kind of build upon that. And then, like you said, there's been enough time to, iron out all the details to put them in there. And then I could really see that, like you said, it's very popular. It was very popular in Orlando too. The maze that we had, I don't know if it's the location. I don't know if it's because it was the only house that had a delayed opening for some reason. I don't know what the situation was, but it always had a really long line as well. And
I think really quickly as well, like the other thing is, I think what due to the Halloween maze's popularity was a lot of people, I think, were thinking it was based on the new one, and maybe people were going to the attraction riding the high after seeing the movie. So that's just a personal belief on that, but I think that's definitely on my top mazes that will probably be at the event, at least for Hollywood. Can't say. I think with Killer Clowns, that will probably be a shared IP, if anything.
That'd be awesome. I'd love for you guys to get Killer Clowns over there in Hollywood. I don't know how Murdy feels about the film, but I'm sure he'd like to do it.
Well, John is a very classic fan, so I would assume he probably would love to do it. We've always had at least one kind of comedic maze, or at least light-hearted maze. Um, but it's hard to say really, because I guess like last year's Trick or Treat was kind of that light-hearted, kind of fun maze. Um,
Yeah.
but it's hard to say. But I'd say I mean, Hollywood saw how popular Trick or Treat was, and now
Yeah.
we got it. We didn't get it as a scare zone, but it went straight to a maze. So I would think it would go the same lines for Killer Clowns Out of Space. And considering the merchandise was highly sought after at the event, it's definitely a possibility.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's for sure.
but going back to Halloween really quickly, I think for Hollywood, it's definitely shown how popular it was. Some of our top mazes have been Halloween. Life and Crimes of Michael Myers back in 2009 was fantastic. The Halloween maze back in, I think it was 2015. Yeah, it was 2015 was really fun. But the best one was definitely Hell Returns to Haddonfield, which was back in 2016. That was based on Halloween 2. So Michael Myers has staying power,
Oh
but
yes.
whether he'll be here this year is definitely up in the air. But I want to believe he will be, because I would love that. I'll never get sick of Michael. He's definitely one of the scariest characters in a maze for me. Halloween 4 made me jump more times than any other maze in the event. So I would welcome Michael back, but whether audiences will, that's kind of it's up to
I,
me.
I I really think that, because given, like I said before, about all the hiccups that all these studios are now presenting to the aspect of Horror Nights, I really think that Universal's going to try the best that they can to like keep Michael Myers prevalent in the events going forward. Because if you think about it, now a lot of these big IP horror classic properties, are kind of like being taken over by other people. So it kind of limits the kind of big names that they have, and I'd imagine that they'd love to keep at least that one while they can, under their kind of influence.
I would definitely love to hear the soundtrack from the 2018 film in the maze as well.
Oh, that'd be great! I just picked it up the other day. It's great.
Oh, it's so good. Like Allison, the Shape Stalks Allison is definitely a fan favorite, and I would love to hear that in the maze in close proximity. That'd be really cool.
Oh,
Uh,
definitely.
Moving on from that, what else do you think?
Well, I kind of mulled it over, and I really think that another one that, I mean, we could maybe see. We can't. I really think in Orlando, if we don't do it, it would be a big wasted opportunity. Only because we just did it, and I feel that if we waited until later on to do it again, that it would just seem really awkward and weird. But I have a feeling that at least Universal, or well, Universal in Orlando and Hollywood, might try to do some kind of like Blumhouse, either another Horrors of Blumhouse, or just a Happy Death Day 2
Yeah,
house. Just because when we just did it here in Orlando, it just, and the movie's coming out this year. It seems like wasted opportunity, to especially for the people who came last year. So not only are you hooking people with that came last year for Stranger Things,
mm,
they'll come back this year for season 2. But when they come back for season 2, they'll also go, oh yeah, I remember last year we did that Happy Death Day house. Here's the second one.
yeah.
So I feel like if we didn't do it, at least tying it into another Blumhouse house, that it would just be like a big wasted opportunity. But and as far as Hollywood, I could see them doing it, with something. It's considering it's an IP, it's current, it's promotional.
Definitely. I believe with Happy Death Day 2, we will probably get that in a, if not its own maze, definitely a Blumhouse maze. Um, I I also there's a few that I would think that would actually end up coming to the event, but I'm still riding on the Thing one day coming.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
I want to see the 1982 Thing film. Now, there is merit to this. Whether get it this year or way down the line. Now, I can't say much for Orlando because they've had it twice in the past. They had the Thing
That's
assimilation
true.
back in, was it 2006?
2007. It was my very first house.
which was amazing from what I could see. Someone managed to get some good footage of it. And then you got the 2011 Thing film. But Hollywood has never had the 1982 film, and it's one of John's most, because John has a list, for those watching who don't know. John has what he likes to call the white whale list. Now, on this list, he had two that he's managed to do, which was The Exorcist and The Shining. And one of them, and he said this at panels, was the 1982 Thing film. The problem with this is because it would be a high budget maze to produce, but it would definitely be amazing to see. And I would love the creative teams at both Orlando and Hollywood to bring this back and do, because the Thing Assimilation, if I recall, was back in 2007 was, it was a sequel maze, wasn't it? It was a sequel based on the original 1982 film. It wasn't.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it was a sequel maze to the original film.
So it would stand to. So technically, both events haven't had the original 1982 film. So
that's true.
I would love to see this, and I think with both creative directors and how passionate they are about classic horror, and considering it's a universal property as well, so they don't have to they don't have to appropriate it from other companies. They don't have to buy it off someone. It's already an in-house property, but it needs to be utilized. And I feel maybe I really wanted it to be this year, but if not, we'll definitely get it down the line somewhere. So definitely the Thing, I would say, is a high possibility. Again, whether we'll get it this year, it depends. It's all up to Universal and how much budget they're giving the creative teams. But I think Universal, but considering that Stranger Things was a big property for them to acquire, I don't know how much that's going to really cost, cut into the budget, if that makes sense, Brian.
Oh no, that totally makes sense, because they're going to want to put all their, all their, well, not all their money, but put their big attention to Stranger Things, because A, it was successful. B, people are probably, I mean, here in Orlando, we're already selling buy one get one free tickets, all right off the bat. So they're already trying to hook people back in again for another year. So I just think that a lot of their efforts are going to be put into that. But I was just thinking about this while you were mentioning like the classic houses of like the Thing. We did, in the last couple of years, we've had a lot of like classic horror houses, whether it's The Shining or The Exorcist or, any of those. So I really feel that it would be a good opportunity just to, I mean, I know it's not from another, company. It's not like they're bringing in a classic movie, but I really feel that if they made the Thing, the classic movie house, that it would be I think it would be good fit this year.
Universal, if you do this, I will buy so much Thing merch. You have no idea. You will literally be bankrupt. Please do this. I want to. Well, I've already got a Thing shirt, but I'd love a Horror Nights Thing shirt. That'd be amazing. Which is one of the things I was disappointed back in 2011. I really wanted a shirt based on the Thing, but they didn't have one. Except the year shirt. So, come on, Universal. You've got my wallet in the palm of your hands. Just do the maze. You'll make your money. But I think it'd be a popular. I think one of the things we don't get enough of is creature mazes as well. We need to expand more outside of madman and knives and and zombies. And I feel we don't get enough like monster kind of mazes. And I'm not talking about like humanoid. I'm thinking because like you look at the 2011 Thing maze, and the costumes that ADI provided were fantastic, and they looked different. They were scarier because they weren't a normal humanoid looking thing. Unintentional pun. But without going into a full rant, I would love to see the Thing there. Again, whether we get it this year, it remains to be seen. I'm hoping we do, but I'm not holding my breath, because every year a lot of fans have been hoping for it. It hasn't come, but every year people continue to speculate that the Thing is coming, and I think it will do at some point. I think maybe once Stranger Things has run its course, I think we might get a big budget maze like that. But it's the same with Alien. Everyone wants Alien to go to the event, but it's just a lot of money to spend, really. And now that Alien is technically owned by Disney, I'm not holding my breath for Alien anymore. It just killed the hopes for it for me. And I hate to be a killjoy on that, but it's just one of those things. What do you think, Brian?
Well, I think, first of all, yes, I am very disappointed that Aliens is kind of off the table. I mean, to be fair, we don't really know at this point. I mean, yeah, I could definitely see them not wanting to do it, but honestly, I mean, it's not like Disney's, at least with like the Warner Brothers properties, like that they're gonna go do something with them. So like with Conjuring and like Freddy and Jason, like they've got plans for them. Disney doesn't really have plans for like Aliens and like all this other stuff. They're not gonna stick them at Mickey's Not So Scary. So part of me really wishes that they just want to like take the money, you know what I mean? Because it's not really even in their demographic. It's not like they're competing with Disney's Halloween party, by having Aliens at theirs. I mean, I figured they'd want to like take the money while the money's good. But again, I know companies, they don't like to work together, especially when they're that close to each other, that kind of stuff. So
especially, I will mention this, like there's always been a huge rivalry between the Florida Universal Studios and Orlando.
Yeah.
In Hollywood, but Universal's always had a bit of a rivalry going back to like the 70s. So
that's true. Yeah,
I don't know if they would relinquish such a pricey IP without like basically making Universal pay through their nose to get Alien.
See, that's the thing. They probably I could see Disney offering it to them, but for like triple the price, high quality, pay cut, I could see them doing that and then see what Universal says. But yeah, just like lowballing them and giving it to them. No, yeah, that probably won't happen.
I agree, and I want it to come, but it's one of those things. Now I'm not going to hold my breath for. I'm not going to keep speculating. I'd rather be surprised for Alien if it does. But it's one of those that is not on my high priority list because the possibilities have now been made harder. With 20th Century Fox, they made it easy. They are reasonable. They will lend properties. I mean, look at AVP. We got AVP a few years back, but not just once, twice for Hollywood as well. So
that's true.
I with Alien, it's kind of off my spec list because it's just a lot harder now to acquire.
To be fair, though, two real quick things about Aliens. One, I could see if Disney like ever put out a film like of Aliens, like released it through Fox or something, and they were looking for some good publicity. I could see them doing it as like a one-time thing if they ever down the road decide to even do anything with Aliens themselves. So I'd be interested to see if anything like that happened. And the second thing is, I guess the good news, at least for Orlando, is technically we already got an Aliens house. It was called Alien versus Predator, but technically it was just featuring the Predators.
Yeah, it was
Aliens. It was essentially just Aliens anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So moving on from that, I mean, again, we're still early days, so there's not a lot. We for those who just joined, I just noticed we've got one more viewer on there.
Hello, people.
Hello. We've speculated that Stranger Things is going to come. It's a high definite that we'll probably get season 2 as a maze. It made a ton of money last year. The other one was Killer Clowns from Outer Space is a high possibility as actually being converted into a maze. Considering how popular it was and seeing the history with like Trick or Treat, how it started as a scare zone, definitely Killer Clowns as a possibility, and possibly as a shared IP as well. So both Hollywood and Orlando. Then we mentioned, did we go into The Thing? We were talking about the 1982 Thing film as well, weren't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we just finished saying that Alien is not really a high possibility just because Disney now owns 20th Century Fox and there's a huge rivalry between Disney and Universal. So moving on from there, I think we can kind of speculate a little bit on like things that aren't on a lot of people's lists. For me, I think the big one is, and I know it's probably not going to happen, but it's huge, Resident Evil 2.
Oh, yes.
the remake made a ton of money, and we've seen Universal do Resident Evil in the past. Maybe not to the best of what they can do with that IP, but it is a possibility considering that there are a lot of characters you can actually replicate in the maze environment. I don't know how they do Birkin, but you can leave that out to your imagination. But Universal is pretty good at bringing the impossible to life, especially at their events. Horror Nights has shown time and time again that they have the resources and the know-how to kind of make these monsters appear into reality. So RE2 is not on my high spec list, but it's definitely as a possibility, like an out of the box idea. And considering how much Capcom made out of that, and Universal might have taken notice and say, "Oh, maybe we can capitalize it." Resident Evil's hot right now; they can jump on it. We might get it. I mean, in Hollywood we've never had Resident Evil, which saddened me. We had Silent Hill, but we've never had a lot of video game IPs, and I think this is the time to really capitalize on that. But that's totally up in the air. Like I said, that's kind of an out of the box idea. What about you, Brian? What do you think?
Oh, I'd be stoked to have another Resident Evil house. Like, bring it on. I'd be all set. I would love to see that. I honestly think that it would probably be good for Orlando to redeem themselves from the last time, because now when everybody thinks of Resident Evil at Universal, that's, the first thing that comes to people's minds. And I really think it'd be good for them to get another crack at it. And like you said, I mean, this would be great tie-in promotion with the game and everything else. And I really think it would be a win-win for everybody. On top of the fact that I believe that some of the other theme parks, like I think Universal Studios Japan, like haven't they done a lot of Resident Evil, like various Capcom Resident Evil projects?
They have.
Their Horror Nights.
It's if you ever get a chance to watch the videos of Japan doing Resident Evil, it's amazing. Their costumes are so much better than the ones they had in the maze. What year was that? Was that 23? That was 23, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Roots of Evil. So yeah, if you ever get a chance, watch their costumes. So it is a possibility. They can do this. They just have to, I think, put the budget in for it. But I think with Resident Evil 2 being a huge hit right now, and I just finished the game, and it's amazing. I mean, if you're ever a fan of the original, the remake is amazing. Now is the time. If you're ever going to do video game IPs at the event and bring them back, this is the time. And this is the game to do it. So definitely, again, it's an out-of-the-box idea, but Universal likes to capitalize on what's popular right now, and Resident Evil is big. So we can fingers crossed on that. I think the other thing is, definitely Orlando's going to get original mazes. I think that's I think at this point
I have a good sneaking suspicion.
Sorry?
Yep. Oh, I have a sneaking suspicion that definitely, they're going to have some originals this year.
I don't know. It might be a possibility they won't. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like that would be the real trick if things changed around and all of a sudden Hollywood starts putting out all these like original mazes and stuff. You're like, wait a minute, like they decided to switch it up on us. Like that would be crazy. That would be the real trick of like Halloween Horror Nights.
Now we're going to move on to something a little bit different now, which we've talked about some of the mazes that we think might be from highest to lowest. Now, what about the bigger question that everyone's asking and probably thinking in their mind? Will we get an icon for this year? Well, at least in Orlando, we never get anything like that.
Hey, what Hollywood Harry might make a return. Like, he might come back.
John has said that he likes the character and he likes the idea behind it. He won't admit that it's technically an icon. But I've always considered Hollywood Harry as a proto icon, just because he has a developed backstory, he has an iconic look, and he's definitely a great character. I'd love to see come back. But I think with Orlando, but saying that though, they could be saving it for 2020, which is the big anniversary year, which is how many years of Horror Nights? That's 30 years. 30 years, yes.
Yeah, so 30, yeah.
They've got to do something iconic for 30 years. So I don't know for this year, but definitely next year we'll probably get icons. But I'd love to see at least, you know how in 25 we had Jack, and then and then they followed it up for 26 with Chance. I would love to see a follow icon that will like pre what's the word? Basically set up the event for 30 HHN 30, kind of like a pre-show, a preliminary event to the big one, which is in 30. What do you think, Brian?
Well, I actually just had a really genius idea. I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I kind of like, you were talking about having a placeholder, like a preview to like the big 30th, because honestly, as far as like this year goes, I really don't actually even, I mean, honestly, I don't even really want them to do an icon. I mean, I know that's blasphemy. They're like, oh, what do you mean you don't want an icon? But like, I really just honestly, after them trying to do like pseudo icons for the last couple of years, we had Bone Daddy that one year where like it's like, is that even considered an icon? Like after all these kind of like meandering like attempts, I honestly like either A, I really would want to see one, because for the big 30th, I don't know if you remember or not, but back in 2015, we had the big Terror Queen and the whole like that whole event, and they had an Islands of Adventure, and at the end of the event, they she kind of said that like, I'll be back in 15 years. Well, that's it. So I really I hope that somebody remembers. They go, wait a minute, how long did we say this was happening? 15 years? Oh, that's next year. Oh, we got to do something, because I feel they don't pay that off. Like, that's the biggest, like, wasted opportunity ever, to like not have the whole Terror Queen come back. I'm back after 15 years, like I told you I'd be. But with that said, I thought about what you were saying about a follow-up, and I was like, okay, this is genius. This is genius. What if for this year we had the storyteller come back, because she was the person who told the story of like the Terror Queen and everything. So what if she comes back again to say, hey, I'm here for my own thing, but and then maybe at the end tell a story about the Terror Queen and everything else, and lead up to 30. I think that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I agree. I think I totally forgot about the Terror Queen until you mentioned her. But you're right. Yeah, she's back. She should be back for 30. I don't know if they're going to continue to follow the lore already preset by Michael Roddy, but I hope so. I mean, there's a lot of fans of that character and that like the whole lore behind Horror Nights, and myself who loves to look up lore videos and make lore videos. I would love to see her come back, and I am planning, hopefully, to attend the anniversary year. And skip Hollywood for 1 year and have Aimee cover.
Oh, wow.
Cover it, because I really want to see an anniversary year. My biggest regret was not seeing 25.
Oh, yep, yeah, it was good.
So definitely, I agree. I think if they set up the storyteller, because let's face it, she's never actually had her own year. She had
no,
because it was all about the Terror Queen. She did the story, but that's how far. She's never been a centralized character. So if you have her set up in this year, 2019, and then you have the Terror Queen come back bigger and larger, I would definitely, guys, we're already speculating 30.
yeah. No, this is actually, this is big speculation mode. But honestly, like you said, I'd love to see that as like a setup to the big year.
I'd love to see that actually happen and actually follow the plan. And they may bring back Fear at some point, maybe mix them in with the big anniversary, have the kind of side icons, because let's face it, Fear was an icon, but he was never a prevalent icon.
He never really did anything.
Yeah, I mean, he literally controlled everything from behind the curtain. But
that's true. Yeah. I mean, he was the big mastermind behind everything, and I'll admit, I went in 2010 and I saw him, up there on that pedestal and everything with all of his little lantern minions, and I mean, it was cool. I liked it. I liked his design. I thought it was interesting, but the fact that he never really, I mean, it wasn't even like Bloody Mary, where like at least she had her own house, like he. So,
I think that for this year, for 2029, they need to have a setup for 30 to get us excited for 30. Hollywood's we just have years. We don't really have anniversaries. John has stated, and I've talked to John about this, and I asked him on Twitter. I said, why don't we have anniversaries? Because he just doesn't feel that it's his event, because technically he didn't start it. Which, if I remember, I think that's what he said. I could be wrong, so don't take that for a grain of salt. But I'm pretty sure that's what he said. He doesn't feel that 2006 with his year. I always consider 2006 John's year. That's when he started, and I always follow that as the anniversary year for it. But we don't really have anniversaries, and our years are just kind of, there's nothing big for them, if that makes sense. There's nothing kind of to celebrate the history of Hollywood's event, which is a shame, because I know John feels that way, but honestly, he's done a lot for the event, and it's sad to see that we don't actually get a big, anniversary event for it. But anyway, that's pretty much wraps it up here. So thank you guys for watching the stream, and thank you, Brian, for joining us today.
Oh, anytime, of course. It's always fun to speculate the events. Now we're so far down the road.
I think there's going to be more that's popping up with more things that we haven't said today. That's probably going to come up in our minds in the coming weeks. So more speculation videos will definitely be on the way. But
definitely.
So thank you guys for joining us, and we will be setting this up as a generalized video. I'm going to start working on it, and I hope to see you guys soon in the next video. Thank you for supporting HNU, and until the next time, guys, this is David and Brian signing off.
Take care.